Describe in single words only the good things that come into your mind. About your mother?
My mother?
Yeah.
Let me tell you about my mother.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Have you ever been in an institution? Cells.
Cells.
Do they keep you in a cell? Cells.
Cells.
When you're not performing your duties, do they keep you in a little box? Cells.
This causes it. This causes it. This causes it. Information overload. All the electronics around you poisoning the airwaves.
You are listening to the High Tech Low Life podcast, a cyberpunk media retrospective. High Tech Low Life contains language and themes not suitable for all audiences, as well as spoilers for the content being covered. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back, everybody, once again to the High Tech Low Life podcast with your hosts, Eric and Josh. I am Eric.
I'm Josh.
And our guest.
Hello, I'm Geoff.
These are the sounds of our voices, and we are discussing, for the second week in a row, the Neil Stephenson novel, 1992, Snowcrash.
Snowcrash. Woo! I can't get over how good Josh sounds from what I'm used to. There's no echo. It's
okay, that's really good. I meant to ask you when we were not recording, like how everything sounded, and I'm pleased to hear that.
Yeah, it's only 3 years in. Show's starting to get professional.
3 or 9, whatever.
We're 1 year into this show, 9 years into podcasting.
Yeah. 3 years into, coming up on 4 into the Zoom era.
Yeah. We are actually almost exactly 1 year into this show. Didn't we start on the 21st or something?
Oh, that sounds right. Yeah, 15th, something like that, maybe.
We'll have to plan something cool and then completely forget about it.
Yeah.
That's just what you do with a podcast on an anniversary date.
It is.
Yeah.
We had a running gag on Creek of the Week, or we'd hit 100 episode milestone and we'd completely forget. And so it became our thing to commemorate our 101st, our 201st, and our 301st.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, because of the way we record and break ours up into episodes, we don't know exactly where the break is going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
So we celebrated our 100th episode on episode 127, I think.
Yeah.
I was interrogating Kristen about that at Astronomica.
She's so good at editing, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always amazed at the editing on you guys' show.
Yeah, she deserves every fucking cent that you guys get from Patreon and more.
Yes.
She was.
That's where the bulk of it goes. So,
I mean, while we're promoting Astronomica, does she have any experience editing before the podcast?
This is all just a testament to her drive, determination, and general capability. I'm pretty sure that if you gave Kristen a nuclear sub and a manual in about a year, she would be a nuclear power.
Yeah, that's fitting to what we're going to be talking about shortly.
I totally believe it. Yeah.
Well, it's a well edited show. It's a well acted show, and
better edited than acted.
I mean, the whole point of good editing is we won't know how well edited it is. It just sounds great.
Yeah,
exactly.
And good editing makes the acting sound even better. So,
yep, that and the cattle prods.
Yeah,
I'm guessing she has a lot of that.
So yes, here we are. We're not going to do our usual dystopia talk because I'm sorry for us, no time has passed and nothing has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, dystopia, I assume, still ongoing. Don't worry about it. I mean,
actually, it turns out in the last 5 minutes it was all solved. It's all good now.
Oh shit! I didn't think to check Twitter. Damn.
If only.
We're cool.
Well, then I guess we can stop.
Okay, great.
Bye.
Cyberpunk genre solved the world.
They actually just did have to create the Torment Nexus. That's all. And then we threw all the billionaires in it, and everything's great.
Yeah, worked out well.
Ooh, maybe we're onto something here. We'll give this some thought. But yeah, we're gonna start. We got a little bit into Snowcrash. We kind of got through the intro, and we're gonna now dive into the real heart of the story, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Okay, so Snowcrash has the big overarching plot, which is there is a virus, which is both a real virus, a knowledge virus, and a computer virus.
Well, Josh, I mean, what is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Exactly.
Yes. That sounds familiar. That's good knowledge.
Yeah.
I wrote that. I made that up.
Oh, good.
Hey, cool. Well, we'll keep that.
Just now, on the fly.
After we're done with this episode, let's get you to record that in like a cool, deep, resonant voice, and we'll put that in the intro.
Could you just like go back and retroactively sub it into all your retros?
Absolutely, we will do that.
Yeah, I've got time for that for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we've got a virus. So I think one of the things that I think Neil Stephenson took a lot of his style and authorial intent from Michael Crichton. And I mean this in a non-derogatory way. Michael Crichton wrote books because he was like, this, whatever it is, either DNA preservation or I don't know, whatever.
Chaos theory.
Like, I'm going to do a lot of research about this and turn it into a book.
Yeah.
Is like his mode. And he's very good at that. Neil Stephenson did the same thing, except in this instance, he got interested in the concept of the bicameral mind and how both linguistics and thought work.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, so briefly, as someone who was briefly a linguistics major, Stevenson read a lot about linguistic relativism and specifically the Sapir-Whorf school, which holds that your internal that the language that you know and your internal monologue and narrative shapes the way that you experience the world in a profound degree, and that's pretty much bullshit. There are some like you can take some academic quibbles with that, but basically
strong. Based on my understandings, because I have having anthropology degrees means I have a lot of brush up against linguistics, both the separate, both linguistics on its own and the anthropological field of linguistics. Strong Sapir-Whorf is bullshit. Weak Sapir-Whorf, seems to have some merits. But strong Sapir-Whorf is like, then you're down a rabbit hole where nothing means anything and we have to stop.
Yeah. And that's sort of the central conceit of this book.
I would like to chime in with my opinion, and I will briefly state my bona fides, which is a high school diploma from Emporia High, and 1 year at Emporia State University. And I think it's real boring to listen to two people talk about, not you two, I mean, to read about two people talking about this stuff now, for at least 4 hours in an audiobook format.
See, Eric obviously knows this, clearly. For maybe some members of our audience, Sapir-Whorf, as Geoff said, posits that the language we speak...
I know what you're saying. I was about to say that too.
Yeah, and and subsequently the language that we think in and conceive of the world in inherently reframes our concepts.
It reframes our concepts.
Reality.
I was just about to say that.
Yes, exactly. Like I said, you know this. Some of our audience might not be familiar with the academic language.
Yeah, idiots.
So he took this and the concept of the bicameral mind, which is a fun, and I mean that in the sense that I often use the word fun in
Not
terms
fun?
of like weird.
Okay.
Like, this is an interesting way to conceive of things. It's a fun way to think about how the human mind / any cognition works. It's a little tough to explain in layman's terms, and Eric, of course, knows this.
Thanks for letting everybody know.
Yeah, you might not be able to read, but
just a glimpse behind the curtain. Josh is just repeating stuff that Eric fed him off mic before the recording started.
Yeah,
there are a little bit out of his depth, so I gave him some pointers.
Yeah, exactly. So the bicameral mind is the idea that once upon a time, depending on who you talk to, 3,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, 40,000 years ago, that human cognition is not or was not what it is now, where the right half and the left half or hemispheres of the brain did not communicate with each other in the ways that they currently do because of our languages, going back to Sapir-Whorf. So every human in, let's call it just prehistory as a generality, although that's not the case, had effectively the voice of God communicating to them from the inside of their brain. They heard the right hemisphere of their brain talking to the left hemisphere of their brain. It's only in the relatively modern or historic era that we have been able to integrate these two halves and become arguably truly human and capable of things like introspection and examining how our thoughts are created and analyzed.
Yeah. And to use a technical academic term, that's all largely been proved to be bullshit.
Yes.
As well.
100%.
Like, since this book was written or prior to it, or
prior to it, but maybe not as ramified.
It was a relatively, I mean, back in the early 90s, bicameral mind was still a relatively hot theory that people were debating. But by like the mid to late 90s, it's one of those things. It's really hard to actually research and examine because
well, one of the key flaws in that theory is the fact that it ignores the independent development of modern abstract languages in lots of other places in the world than just the ones that influenced us.
Yes. Yeah, it's a very, very Western-centric concept.
And in this book, too, like they talk about the religions and the gods, and they completely just ignore the existence of the Hindu pantheon, Chinese mythology, Japanese religion, oddly enough, considering how prominent the Japanese are in this book.
Well, right. Like the indigenous people are pretty prominent in the book too, and they kind of left out of the equation.
Yeah. Yep. And it's effectively bullshit. I don't know. It's okay. One of the huge, I'm going to drag this back to archaeology because that's one of my things. And Eric knows this.
Well, my brain, when you said archaeology, my brain stopped at R. Kelly. I thought you were going to drag this back to R. Kelly, and that I was going to advise
noted linguist, noted linguist R. Kelly. He actually was capable of flying because he believed he could fly, and
that's true.
His namshub,
allowed flight. Yes, Ursher.
I mean,
it's the remix to
R.
Ignition.
Kelly would like this book in some parts. Let's just say that.
That is not wrong. Fuck.
That joke was
I hate
bad.
the fact that you made that joke. It was a good one, but I hate it.
Okay. It was a very acute joke. And actually humorous, but
We feel bad about it.
Yeah. Everybody feels bad, both for having heard it and I assume for having said it.
Yes.
I don't think you should feel bad for having said it. I just feel bad that the tenets that underlie it exist.
That the zeitgeist exists in which it could be said.
Yeah.
Basically, what Neil Stephenson is poking at through a lot of this book is the concept of what we call behavioral modernity, which is the idea in both philosophy and archaeology that at some point we, as people, had a light come on and we became modern humans who are capable of thinking about things and metaphor, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Abstract reasoning, basically.
And thinking a few steps down the road as opposed to just the next step in what we need to do. Like, we moved beyond instinctual animals. And everything in research tells us that this goes way, way, way far back. Like prior to our separation from Neanderthals by a good margin at this point. Yeah. But for some reason, some flavors of researchers are convinced that no, this is only us. Like modern humanity are the only people who are capable of this. And literally, virtually everything we have discovered in archaeology in the past, 30 odd fucking years and even longer have totally proven that that's not the case. People have been doing this a long time. It's just the evidence is difficult to find. But
I don't think I wouldn't say that this is necessarily a viewpoint that Neil Stephenson is espousing as representative of reality in the real world. I think he thought it would be neat to treat it as real for this book.
Yes,
that's what I was about to say. Like, as far as reading it's kind of taken as a given that's all these concepts are true.
Yeah. Like you had the librarian who Hero gets access to via an interaction with Juanita, who is basically the font of all knowledge.
He's basically
librarian.
Wikipedia.
Yeah. Who says this stuff like, Hero says, so at one point everybody spoke Sumerian, and the librarian doesn't disagree, which is deeply factually inaccurate.
Yeah. There was a lot of things that librarian said that were meant to be taken as fact that even my dumb brain was like, I don't think that's true.
Yeah. Everybody spoke. Yeah. At one point, everybody spoke Sumerian who wrote in Sanskrit on tablets in a couple of city-states in the Middle East.
Yeah. Everybody in this region of the Fertile Crescent.
Yes. Everybody who was writing things down in a language we can decipher was speaking Sumerian. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So what this book posits is that the Tower of Babel was real, except it wasn't a tower.
I feel like we're really... I mean, hopefully people who are listening to this, I've read the book, so they get the jump, and I get the jump. But if you are just listening to this and you haven't read the book, like you guys were talking about like cyberpunk stuff, and now you're talking about ancient languages. That's kind of how it feels when you're reading the book, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hero just gets access to this virtual library and then starts researching stuff out of the blue. I guess he puts it together in his own, super smart weeb mind.
Yes.
Well, he gets a big trench of research that had been previously compiled by
the Fed,
character,
right?
By
Emmanuel,
Lagos.
Yeah, Emmanuel Lagos.
Lagos.
And Juanita, his ex-girlfriend.
And co-creator of the bar.
Yeah.
The bar and the metaverse itself. She was the one that was responsible for recognizing that facial expressions would be important to convey meaning.
Yeah.
Alone of all the men. And so this is one of the things that points up one of my central frustrations with the book, which is that she is clearly in the right. She recognizes that it's important. She has a more subtle and sophisticated understanding than Hero does. And she is presented
nearly
as
everything.
Yeah. She's presented as this like super smart person. And the dialogue when she actually speaks is the clunkiest shit in the entire book.
Yeah, it's fucking Roof
And
Stoof.
she is an afterthought of a 2D sketch of a paragraph of a character.
Yeah, I get that.
It's and what's like Neil Stephenson is capable of writing good dialogue.
Eliza?
This book is not necessarily the best example of that all over.
He's even capable of writing very good dialogue involving female characters.
Yeah.
Again,
YT has generally speaking is a good example of that. Like she has a unique perspective. Like she speaks in a particular idiom. Generally speaking, it flows like a actual human being would talk. But when Juanita pops up at the bar, it's the clunkiest, like, hey, as you know, here is the background information that will lead you to the next part of the story.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for telling me that.
And it's true, to back up your point, as she's presented, while she's like coding minute facial feature changes to increase communications within the metaverse, Hero is coding how to sword fight and what to do with the dead bodies of the people that you kill.
Yeah, and I like that in the background as a character note. It's great.
Yeah, I think it's a very good and interesting, like, and that's the type of thing that makes me not hate this book as much as I feel like I should hate it at some points. Like, Stevenson is clearly fucking bright enough to be realizing that he is talking to the lowest common denominator. Does that make sense and read to you?
Yeah.
But the lowest common denominator is so served in this book that it becomes, at certain points, you're like, are you fucking kidding me? Is this what we're doing here? And he's like, yeah, I mean, we need to move the action along. He's got to get a fucking nuclear-powered Gatling gun at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're not going to not have a nuclear-powered Gatling gun.
Yeah.
But I wish I could find the thing. He calls out specifically, like there's a passage where Hero is reflecting on the development of the metaverse and the Black Sun early on. And he calls out the low-level background misogyny that's so pernicious because the liberal techno elites don't recognize that they even have it.
Yes, I
remember that. Yeah,
I'm sure I highlighted that very specifically. Let me go back through my stuff. Yeah, he's clearly very conscious of what he is fucking writing.
But then he indulges in it so much in a way that is not parodic or satirical.
Here we go. Okay, so let's see. God damn it! Stop. Go back. Okay. Let's see. They both worked at Black Sun. At the time, they were both working on avatars, which I would note for the record, even it had been used previously in a science fiction novel. Effectively, our current understanding of the word avatar in terms of the internet comes from Snowcrash.
Yeah, this book.
It's an absurd. It's an obscure Sanskrit word, and every use of avatar that we do in daily life comes from avatar.
Let's keep doing it.
Comes from Snowcrash. Yes,
feels good.
It does.
That's the tone of voice that is Papyrus font.
Yes,
it is.
Absolutely.
Yes. He was working on bodies. She was working on faces. She was the face department because nobody thought that faces were all that important. They were just flesh tone busts on top of avatars. Say it.
Avatar.
She was just in the process of proving them all desperately wrong, but at this phase, the all-male society of bitheads that made up the power structure of Black Sun Systems said that the face problem was trivial and superficial. It was, of course, nothing more than sexism, the especially virulent type espoused by male techies who sincerely believe that they are too smart to be sexists.
Man, that's... And then a few paragraphs later, he does it himself. That's very interesting because he does some of that with racial stuff too. Like there's some explicitly anti-racist parts of this book, but yet for some reason he feels the need to point out the ethnic background of every character that we come across in the novel.
Yeah, I really do feel like a lot of that too. Like it is a very acute social observation Neil Stephenson has made, which is that if society fragmented along the lines that it seems to be doing so, like white nationalist enclaves are going to be a real big part of the background scenery and real big problems.
I don't think he's wrong with that.
Unfortunately, if anything, the past 30 years have proved that absolutely correct.
The past 5 or 6 in particular.
But then he calls the refugees that show up literally refuse. Yeah.
That bothered me.
That stuck out to me on this reading. I mean, it's my first reading in however many years, but that stuck out to me very specifically this time.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to it. Is it spelled REFUSE in the?
Yeah, no, it's REFUS, like short for refugees.
The guy in the narrator said refuse and kind of put the accent on the U, which helps, but it's still pretty clear. Like we've all heard of Fugees. Nobody went with the first half of the word for a reason, I believe.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's also in this a deliberate world building thing.
Yeah.
And one of the things that had bothered me a lot about this book, which I do feel like got a little bit less, like it was a little bit mitigated. Like, again, I think it was more clumsily handled than some of the other elements of it. But like he gives full realization to a lot of the characters. Like when he reunites the cabin boy with his family, like it gives this instant, realism to the kid and treats him as a human. But it's just a couple paragraphs and it's sort of sketched and they're mostly forgotten about and eluded over in the prose. So like it does still feel, even though the book is sort of criticizing that viewpoint of people, it also sort of indulges in it itself unintentionally, I think. And I don't, that's one of the things that I really don't like about this book, apart from the gross sex stuff.
It's hard to tell because there's nobody stating the other case in the book. There's nobody talking about the humanity of the refugees, really.
Yeah, it's
like Juanita, I think, is like the closest thing we have to a moral sinner, and she's such a minor character.
A minor character / Deus Ex Machina.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Hero certainly doesn't give a shit. And YT's too busy with their own stuff, and everybody else is too busy trying to be capitalists.
Yeah, and I think this is like, okay, this book is a whole fucking can of worms if you haven't figured it out from the previous 2 hours of program.
Yeah.
This book is a whole can of worms, and so is Neil Stephenson's entire fucking career.
Yeah, agreed.
I think, like, I've never met the guy, even at a signing or anything, but I really get the impression that Neil Stephenson is generally on the right side of stuff.
Yes, which is to say the left side of stuff.
Yes, exactly. You literally jumped to my punchline before I got to it.
I'm so sorry.
No, fair enough. That is another example of us being in another example of us being in the same goddamn brain. Yeah. And probably
Wait, are you the other half of my bicameral mind?
Oh shit. That could be the case. Yeah, I think Neil Stephenson is on the correct side of things, but on the other hand, I feel like he's, smart enough to be commercially minded and like what's going to sell books and it's cool adventure stuff. Yeah. And let's drop in these bits of how maybe society should work or how being a good person should be, as compared to, oh yeah, we also have to have a lot of sword fighting or whatever.
It's tough because I sometimes cannot tell if this book is like critiquing like the ANCAP thing or in favor. Like he does not have pleasant things to say about the government. He sounds like a libertarian when he's talking about the United States government in the book.
Yeah.
But also like none of us have good things to say about the government. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think he is pretty resoundingly critiquing ANCAP and libertarian economic and political orders, but from a very, very close, quasi-affectionate perspective.
Yeah, it probably makes it look too cool, like Fight Club, and that makes an issue.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of it could be equated to regulatory capture. I know Eric knows about this.
Obviously, I was just about to talk about regulatory capture. Go ahead, I'll give it to you.
Wherein, and this just for, maybe if our audience has some kids that are also listening, and they don't know, regulatory capture is when people leave industry and then move over to a regulatory agency. This occurs especially in the American government. For example, say the CEO of a power company, or could be the reverse as well. Say somebody who's in the AEC, the Atomic Energy Corporation, which is part of the U.S. government. Don't worry about it. It's called a corporation for no particular reason. Moves over into the power industry. At this point, the company and the government effectively function as one because the company knows how the government operates, the government knows how the company operates, and they can exploit the differences between those two things.
And they have close personal ties and a direct fiduciary interest in
direct interest, which I feel that, I really like Neil Stephenson's books. He has a lot of direct interest in the tech sector because other people really like Neil Stephenson's books and hire him on as a consultant, as a, quote, futurist, which a lot of my favorite authors end up getting consulting work as futurists. This is especially problematic because, I've talked about in the past, there are like a handful, probably 5 or 6 authors where I seem to be weirdly in sync with. Like, I'll read a book that they've had come out recently, and it'll hit on something exactly that I had been interested in, 6 months beforehand. Like, there's just some sort of zeitgeist that's making me think of Curta calculators. And then suddenly it pops up in a William Gibson novel. And there's just a handful of authors that do that. And they're also the ones who happen to be futurists, or professional, semi-professional futurists. And Neil Stephenson is very big into this. Like, he is he's one of the consultants for the Long Now Corporation, or the Long Now Foundation.
Yep. Which recently, Jeff Bezos spent $40 million building a Long Now clock.
Yes, exactly. About 20 miles from where I spend my summers. So that's not frightening at all.
I'm going to have to ask you for the idiot listeners to explain what that is. Obviously, the joke.
So the Long Now Foundation, they think about how to preserve human cultural artifacts on millennial and million year and billion year timescales.
Yes.
And one of their notional...
When we say human cultural stuff, that is mostly a metaphor for Western descended from European
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that, but that's the implication. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't think it's anywhere consciously in their minds, but it is thoroughly embedded underneath all of their ambitions. And so Jeff Bezos recently spent $40 million building a clock that I think strikes once every 10,000 years or something like that.
Yes, exactly.
That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah. And Neil Stephenson is a consultant for them.
That would be a cool thing to build if nobody was homeless. You know what I mean?
Right.
Exactly.
That would be all about building stuff like that if there weren't hungry
Christ.
people in the world.
Yeah.
If there weren't children dying of food insufficiency within a couple hundred miles of that
stupid
extravagant clock.
Not even a couple of 100 miles. Like, yeah.
Yeah, fuck him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Also, one more fun thing about Neil Stephenson's financial interests. Mm-hmm. He was one of the early large Kickstarters, and he kickstarted a video game called Clank, which was all about how to sword fight on the internet.
Yes.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is it still out there? Did it get funded?
It never ended up. It got way funded by.
It never ended up coming out though. Yeah. It led to I don't know. Neil Stephenson has been involved in a ton of like seeming next generation cool sci-fi internet things. Like
that don't actually pan.
That don't actually work out. Like 10 years ago, probably. He was one of the foundational authors of what was it called? I can't remember the main series title, but it was like the Mongoliad. And basically, if I don't remember what the concept was, but he wrote the first novel and maybe like co-wrote a couple of the other novels of like, what if the Mongolian Empire hadn't fallen when it did? And it was the idea was that it was going to be this huge expansive universe of both published novels, internet, posts like fan fiction, effectively, graphic novels, video games, a movie, etc. And this was going to tie into Clang.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, it never ended up going anywhere. Like there were a few of the novels came out, and maybe one of the graphic novels and a short story collection or something. But he has been at the forefront of this type of stuff, like trying to move to the next step. Like when you say the concept of new media, as people said it 10 years ago, he has been at the forefront of trying to do that. At arguably the detriment of his writing career.
Interesting.
I'd say inarguably, but
because
he tries to chunk it in there. I got to pause for a second. I'm sorry, by the way. I'll be right back in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's fine. We will sit in silence.
We will. Actually, I'll run over and grab another Coke so I don't get too drunk while this is happening.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I'm back.
It's okay. Josh is grabbing a drink.
Gotcha.
I'm just taking this moment to organize my timestamps better.
Looking at a nice tight 90.
Yeah.
I think part of it's tough to discuss this without going into lots of digressions. A, because of the background in the book, but B, because it's so predictive of a lot of social stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you have to talk about that.
Truly nightmarish social stuff.
Yeah. There's some really horrific elements, both in the abstract implications of society and like creepy horror.
Yeah. Yeah, it's no good.
Okay, so we need to tie all of these digressions back to the plot of the story a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I guess there is a plot to this. Okay.
Well, so for a long time in the middle of the book, it doesn't really feel like there is.
A significant portion of the text of the book is basically related to delivering this sort of this info from this research that that Juanita gives to Hero. And a lot of it also centers around somebody who is in the Black Sun when Hero walks in at the beginning of the book, a billionaire named L. Bob Reif, who has a monopoly on all telecommunications on Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
According to him.
Yeah, L. Bob. We haven't even talked about L. Bob Reif yet.
I know.
Yeah.
And this is also a character that will, I don't know, the concept behind this character carries through Neil Stephenson's next novel, Cryptonomicon, with telecommunications and submarine cable maps being an important part of it.
L. Bob Reif, I think in real life he was modeled a little bit on
Ted
T.
Turner.
Boone Pickens and
Yeah.
Ted Turner.
I was definitely getting Ted Turner vibes.
Personality-wise, he's modeled on T. Boone Pickens, who is an energy guy, but has that same,
Did he run for office or something? I remember my parents talking about T. Boone Pickens at one point in my life.
He started a fund to ostensibly promote independent candidates in Texas for office, but really he just wanted to buy politicians.
Yeah,
well.
he was very much in the model of, Ross Perot was in the model of T. Boone Pickens, if
Right.
that
Yeah.
makes sense. Very energy invested, but willing to diversify well beyond the energy markets.
Yeah, he's an early pioneer of wind farm and solar farms, especially in the kind of the Southwest and Midwest. And he is really savvy about framing it as I'm trying to protect the Earth. A lot of what he's trying to do is just get a lock on the next energy market.
Yeah.
Once oil becomes and
God,
natural
is he
gas.
still
Yeah, it's
alive?
Elon shit.
I don't think I've heard his name for 10 years.
He's another billionaire who's smart enough to listen to his PR team and stay out of the spotlight.
Jesus.
Yeah. I'm looking.
Oh, nope. He died
2019.
4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
September 11th. Whoa.
Oh
my God.
Well, that explains why I didn't hear about his funeral. We were busy remembering.
Remembering like we do every year.
Remembering the 12 heroes who gave their lives.
Yes.
In that plane. So
Going back to our intro from last week, there is a very fun Remember Day episode in corporate.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure it's handled with grace and class.
It's very classy.
So yes, Reif. He's kind of put forth as the main bad guy, right? Basically. Although at first he's just kind of some dude operating in the background, but they don't give that much time to somebody who's just going to be operating in the background.
Yeah, he is a billionaire who is heavily invested in mega churches and also archaeology. He's Hobby Lobby, but he's Hobby Lobby, but also that church by your dad's place. Assuming he lives in the same place he did
My dad's
15
place.
years ago.
He does, but I don't.
Yeah.
Joel Osteen?
There is a giant fucking
We have a
mega
lot of big
church
churches in
Leawood, Kansas.
South Johnson County.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know
like-
anything about that living
I'm
in
sure
Tennessee.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you don't.
Yeah, you're obviously inoculated from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, he's invested in mega churches, cyber technology, and archaeology. Biblical archaeology specifically.
The three genders. Sorry, make that joke.
Pre-biblical.
Well, Middle Eastern archaeology weirdly all ends up being biblical archaeology. It's very fucking irritating. Don't worry about it.
But you said earlier that he was in the bar, or he was in the Black Sun.
Yes.
Yeah, Hero pulls up his background
What's called the scoreboard or something like blackboard?
board.
Big board, yes.
And he sees that L. Bob Reif is there in the Black Sun meeting with the Nipponese.
Yes.
I totally missed that, I guess, when I was...
And it was one of that delegation who got into the sword fight with Hero.
Okay.
But when that's introduced in the story, you don't know who the hell Elbab Reif is.
It's
You
nobody.
wouldn't attach any significance to it on your first read through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting. I do
but
like how they introduce him through old, as Hero finds this via the librarian, I believe, watching a bunch of old videos and commercials and
including footage of high school football games from Odessa, Texas, which I spend at least 3 or 4 nights a year in at this point. And is also the home of Friday Night Lights.
Nice.
The book. The series was shot in Austin, but the book is based in Odessa because they love their fucking high school football. Jesus Christ.
weird.
It's weird.
I never even really cottoned onto it so much, but now thinking about the structure of the novel, like both the principal true antagonist of Elbab Reif and the action-oriented, both the hand and trigger and bullet are present. Elbab Reif and Raven are both there, right there early on. First 100 pages.
They really are, now that you mention it.
And Reif is there when Raven springs the snow virus trap on arguably the biggest hacker in the world, which now makes me think that's not a coincidence. That's a little thing I never even really picked up
wasn't.
on.
Now that you mention it.
Good fucking note, Geoff. Jesus Christ. This is why we have guests on this show.
Yeah. That third brain. Tricameral brain, if you will. Let's talk about Raven since the time has come.
I just want to before we get to Raven, I just want to make a quick note about Odessa, Texas, where Elbab Reif comes from. It's really specifically stated that it's Odessa. This is before the book, long before the book Friday Night Lights came out. Odessa is and I spend multiple nights a year there driving down to Texas to do archaeology. It is a truly borderline ANCAP dystopia. Okay? The whole fucking region, not just the city, the region stinks of petrochemicals. The town is entirely based in the oil industry, exploiting the Permian Basin, which it sits on the edge of, right? Everything is pumping resources out of the ground and processing them to be shipped elsewhere. This is a town that goes through, based on the dollars per barrel price of crude oil, goes through huge recessions and what's the opposite of recession?
Booms?
Inceptions.
Yes. Recessions and booms based on literally the weekly price of fucking crude. It is my idea of a dystopia. It's surrounded on basically 360 degrees in single wides that are occupied by oil rig workers and wildcatters who come into town for a 3-day weekend every other week and then go out to make their fortunes in their lifted fucking pickups with giant light bars. I mean, it is I consider it to be one of the worst fucking places on earth. It's nothing but chain restaurants and malls, and it's truly dystopic.
I'd love to recommend a recommendo mid episode. The Dollop number 151, The Oil Boom Towns of Texas.
Yes,
which
also
covers.
I believe I believe I listened to that, and the amount of let's say is tangential serial killery and sexual assaulty aspects of this town and towns like it are not to be underestimated. It is fucking weird and like it puts my teeth on edge every fucking time I go through. It's fucking crazy.
So the question is it coincidence that that's where Neil Stephenson chose to make Elbab Reich from, or was it calculated?
I think that's calculated.
Sounds calculated.
I think it is calculated, and it has only become more amplified over the past 30 years.
Man, it's good thing nothing's changed.
Like Stevenson, as I said earlier, I think Stevenson is a super fucking smart guy.
Yeah. In fact, I highlighted a passage which actually comes later in the narrative, but it applies here.
That's fine. I don't think we're going to probably follow the narrative because we don't have time to.
Yeah. Well, we can cut out like the middle 200 pages of the book by
that's
not
very true.
Recounting the tedious dialogue.
Yeah.
All these beefy Caucasians with guns, get enough of them together, looking for the America they always believed they'd grow up in, and they glom together like overcooked rice, form integral, starchy little units. With their power tools, portable generators, weapons, four-wheel drive vehicles, and personal computers, they're like beavers hyped up on crystal meth, manic engineers without a blueprint, chewing through the wilderness, building things and abandoning them, altering the flow of mighty rivers, and then moving on because the place isn't what it used to be. The byproduct of the lifestyle is polluted rivers, greenhouse effect, spouse abuse, televangelists, and serial killers.
Fucking exactly. That is the Trans-Alaska Highway section, if I remember right.
Yeah, which is a great section. That's why this book is so interesting to cover, because it's got parts that are so cringe and bad, and then parts that are so fucking good too. It's a really.
Speaking of cringe and bad, we were going to get into Raven, I think.
Raven, who I've had no less than 3 players make Shadowrun characters that were shared the name and the aesthetic.
Man, I have never been more glad that I was not one of those characters.
I'm not going to lie. Like, in terms of a power fantasy, there are aspects of it that are incredibly appealing.
Yeah,
I think Raven is less cringe than Hero in a lot of parts, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, his whole background of
at least he has a background allowing for it.
Yeah, who's like a badass kayaker and harpoonist. That's pretty sweet. But when you first meet him, he just looks like a guy.
He's a gigantic biker with a nuke and a glass knife.
Yeah, and a tattoo that says, what was the tattoo?
Poor impulse control.
Poor impulse control on his face.
Yeah. Which actually, a neat character note, he got while he was drunk working in the oil fields. And then, but now he's sober.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. It's kind of like he seemingly regret, despite the fact that he just is a one-man murder machine.
Yeah.
And a sovereign nuclear power.
He is.
He does have like weirdly kind of a conscience and a position that he takes.
Like he's not killing for fun. He's got a reason he's doing.
And remember, this comes out of, again, going back to Odessa, an extractive economy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I make fun of him because he's presented kind of cringely. But once again, it was in a time when that trope, maybe it existed, but not in the way it does now. And so at the time, I can see how it wouldn't be quite as cringe, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my mind, go ahead, Geoff.
Oh, no. Sorry. Go ahead. In your mind. I was just whispering the bicameral words to you.
Sure. Yes. In my mind, he's exactly the lead singer of Monster Magnet.
That's pretty close.
Circa the release of their Power Trip record.
I was thinking more like Nathan Explosion from Death Clock, if you've ever watched that cartoon.
Sure. Yes, 100%.
Very much.
Yeah.
Same guy. Except for 6'9" or something.
Yeah.
Built
uses
like
only glass knives because they can't be picked up by radar or whatever.
Yeah. Hey, and here we come back to flint napping. Here we come back to archaeology. Flint napping.
And they can penetrate bulletproof vests.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's one thing I do like about the book. I guess bulletproof clothing has become so prominent that guns aren't
as much of a thing. Yeah.
So they aren't
liquid knuckles.
Common. Oh, some of the tech is cool, especially the stuff YT has.
Yeah.
Liquid knuckles is very fun. Yeah, there's a lot of. But so Raven, we learn later, works for L. Bob Reif, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't figure out his motivation for doing so.
He specifically says multiple times he wants to nuke America.
Right.
Yes.
I know his motivation for what he's doing because he is from the Aleutian Islands, the Aleutian Archipelago.
The Alouettes.
Yeah, which we are told in the book is used as a test ground for nukes by the United States. And so he wants...
Oh, it's not a we are told in the book. It's historically they have been.
Yeah, true facts.
Yeah.
Right. But we are also told in the book.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he says, it wasn't in a time of war, but our homes were still nuked. And so his goal is to nuke the United States, which is why he walks around with a nuke.
Yeah.
Yep. And his dad his dad was nuked twice by the Americans, once as a prisoner of war near Nagasaki.
Yeah.
And again, when we blew up an island that had a lot of people who didn't necessarily subscribe to the idea that they were Americans, but we claimed.
Yeah.
That's kind of that's one of our running
cool stuff
themes.
as America.
Yeah, I know a number of people who work up in the Aleutians, and that's a whole thing.
I bet it is.
Yeah, shout out to Kale. She kayaks and hangs out with whales up there.
Does she keep glass knives on her?
I do not know that for a
6'8",
fact, but I would know she's about 5'4", probably. She's great. Like one of the cooler people I know.
After me and Geoff, obviously.
Yeah, clearly. I do know she has listened to some episodes, at least. She was a Dawson's Creek fan back in the day. So
before you write off us as being two of the coolest people you know, you should be aware that we each have a podcast.
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely adds to the coolness.
Sure.
Think about it.
Yeah. It's the hallmark of coolness in this modern age.
As opposed to Kale, who is a lesbian and lives on a farm with her wife and child, and also owns multiple swords and does archaeology in the Aleutians every year.
It was established in the first part of this that I also own multiple swords. I keep them in a drawer with my fireworks.
The Hot Topic drawer.
As I recall, those swords were also paid as rent by one of our former roommates.
They were. I accept swords.
Also snakes.
And snakes and whatever. It was a different time. All right.
Our 20s were weird. I'm not going to say fun, but weird.
Let's keep going with this book here. So major plot points that are happening. We're not going to recap the whole thing chapter by chapter. Obviously, it's
impossible.
Too late for that, and it's impossible.
Yeah.
I feel like so much of this is taken up by Hero getting the info dump from the librarian.
Yeah.
If I had been reading this on the page, it would have been hard for me to get through.
I'll be honest, I think it's kind of neat. Aforementioned previous stint as a linguistics major for a little bit. It's kind of cool to read, but
I think it would have been really cool to also, in retrospect, like I think about these things maybe a little differently in my mind. I hadn't read Snowcrash for a while, and I was thinking of Snowcrash and specifically the Snowcrash virus and kind of the virus component of the book as being knowledge and logic based as opposed to linguistic based. I think it would have been fucking great to also have Mike on this episode.
Oh yeah, he's a linguist.
Because he has a psychology degree, but he did his undergrad in linguistics.
Yeah, he's schooled us on a lot of things over the years. Linguistic.
Yeah. So in retrospect, like once I got into about the second, third, or back half of the novel, I was like, oh yeah, this is all linguistics as opposed to logic and thought form based stuff. It would have been fucking great to have him on here as well. Like, I think this would have been
If he
a
listens to
fucking
this
banger.
one, he's got our email. So.
Yeah, he really does, and I am excited to hear his response.
But he's not obligated to because he's a busy man.
Yes, he, I believe, is currently still on sabbatical in Australia because he's fucking cool.
We should all be so lucky.
Yeah.
I wanted to make a quick comparison because I don't have any of that background. I was not particularly interested in the history that the librarian was going through with Hero. And I was thinking as I was listening to it, I was comparing it to a book that does a lot of random info dumping between two people. I was thinking of The God Emperor of Dune, which is actually one of my favorite Dune books. I don't know. I was very much into the info dumping in that book and not in this. And I can't figure out what it is, why I would be so bored by this.
Well, I mean, the fact that all of the info dumping in God Emperor of Dune is about a wild ass fantastical universe.
Yeah. I mean, that helps, but it's still talking about human philosophy.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't know. I was comparing the two in my mind because there's similar long rants of two people talking, basically.
Well, you know, one of that passage, that whole stretch of the hero and the librarian and maybe Juanita figuring things out, it's kind of like it's a little bit of like Dan Brownism, you know, the Da Vinci Code guy.
That's a good metaphor. Yeah.
Where there's been an entire field of academics devoted to the study of this stuff for hundreds of years. And the reasonably smart character with no background in it figures it out through a conversation by reading Wikipedia, basically.
Picks it up in a day, calling it by the wrong name in Dan Brown, symbology. In reality, semiotics.
And like no one else or very few other people apart from either other protagonists or antagonists have figured this out in this whole time.
Yeah, that's hard to believe. And there were other people studying it too. I mean, half the info you get is something somebody else had.
Yeah, Lagos
one thing I like as a deliberate note is that both the librarian, as a function of it being a talking Wikipedia program, drops footnotes for the actual primary reference work that is being regurgitated. And also Neil Stephenson, shout out to him for actually providing quasi-academic footnotes in his quasi-academic text. Like he didn't just present this as something that he knew or made up. I like that. He gives a little attribution there.
I agree, and that is a running theme with Stevenson's books. I don't know how much Stevenson you've read, Geoff.
A good chunk of it, yeah.
Like
not everything, but
Anathem, which was, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Also, like Monastery in the future, it's kind of Man in the High Castle borderline stuff.
Name of the Rose in space.
Yeah, exactly. He provides a weirdly detailed, not annotations, but appendices
bibliography.
And bibliography to it for all the mathematics on like how to divide up a cake into different portions. Like Stevenson is not averse to research.
Yeah. He for Cryptonomicon, he actually
I love Cryptonomicon. That is as I said to Eric a couple of weeks ago or a couple of days ago in the car, that is one of my favorite literary works of like the past 20 odd years.
It's pretty great. And he actually he enlisted the help of somebody who's a more proficient programmer than he is, but he had real input into and was the genesis of a computer encryption algorithm that you can actually do with a deck of playing cards.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I mean, then that follows into the Baroque cycle, which is like as close
Probably
to
his
100% my shit as can possibly get. Like it's the origins of modern science and also a fun swashbuckling novel.
running around fighting with swords.
Yeah, and like, how do you refine mercury from cinnabar?
And discover the Philosopher's Stone, spoiler alert.
I can't, like, the Baroque cycle is seriously one of my favorite things ever. I highly recommend everybody read it. I don't know that I quite have an excuse to force it on this show.
Doesn't sound like it.
It's all pretty solidly set in the age of Isaac Newton, so I don't know if you're going to get a lot of cyberpunk out of it. But.
I don't know, Leibniz. Come on, Leibniz is pretty cyberpunk. I was talking about him to Kristen at Astronomica.
Yeah,
sure,
it's pretty good.
I'm gonna gently and with great subtlety steer us back to Snowcrash.
Right.
Oh God. Oh God.
Some plot
that's what
points,
we're doing,
right?
Okay.
So this billionaire guy.
Yeah, there are a few things I wanted to cover. The book, all this talk is blurring the sequence of events in my brain.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, it's
Fair.
just
Fair
part of
enough.
talking about a book for 3 hours. I wanted to talk not because of how well written it was or Neil Stephenson or anything, but because of how funny it was to listen in an audiobook. The concert that he recorded.
Sushi Case rap.
Sushi Case rap in audiobook format was so racist. And
I absolutely fucking demand that we pause for a moment and you insert it from your audiobook here.
I think I'll probably put it at the end after credits just because I don't want to make people sit there. It's actually very long because it cuts back between the rapping.
It really is. It is multiple pages.
Yeah. And the narrator does a lot of accents in this particular audiobook.
Oh, boy.
None of them well, particularly the Asian ones.
I can only imagine that it's great.
Yeah, great.
Well, why would you want somebody who could do Asian accents well when there's so many background characters of Asian ethnicity?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Mr.
I mean, I get that accents. I don't know. I don't know what the ethics are of recording books like these with different ethnic backgrounds, but I don't know. This guy's doing like a cartoon version of it, and plus rapping on top of that as clearly a white person. It's awful, and it just keeps going.
I'm not gonna open up my ebook to find out the exact quotes, but it's effectively.
It literally starts out with "My name's Sushi K, and I'm here to say."
That's so great.
I come to rap in the Nipponese way.
Yes, maybe this started that joke. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't a joke yet, but it definitely has become the joke for white people rapping is to start off with that specific line.
I'm blah blah blah, and I'm here to say. It's roof stoof.
I just maybe don't put raps in your books unless you're a rapper.
His hair is galactic, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, that's one that I knew I had to mention. Just to warn people, if you get this on Audible, you're going to have to deal with that. It's fine. It's not the hardest thing to get through in the book.
I haven't heard it, but I believe that it is one of the more uncomfortable things to hear in reality.
There's definitely more uncomfortable things later on in the novel.
Yes. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, there is a good case to be made that the "I'm blank and I'm here to say" came from an early Fruity Pebbles commercial delivered by Barney.
Holy shit.
Wow.
That's true. That's very true. I remember the commercial.
Wow.
Anyway, sorry. So major plot points. Rather than try to present it as they come in the book, maybe we could just like get the narrative threads all together.
Okay, so
yeah, we've skipped YT because she was doing stuff while Hero was getting the info dump.
Hero has a whole goddamn life. YT has a whole goddamn life. She's doing career shit. she has come to the attention of the mafia because she successfully delivered this pizza.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Hero is delivering the start of the book. Hero is delivering pizza, and he gets a pizza with only 10 minutes
Back
left
to
on the
page
30-minute
2.
counter. Yeah, and he's in danger of causing Uncle Enzo, the head of the mafia, to have to personally apologize for a late pizza when he crashes his car. YT delivers it for him, and her elan and attitude are so entrancing to Uncle Enzo, who is hovering in a stealth chopper overhead,
Yes.
about to have to do this. She delivers it with 6 seconds to spare. And so he arranges a delivery of some meaningless crap so that she can meet him and he can offer her to work for the mafia in a way without either his like enemies getting wind of her importance to him or of neat character note of seeming untoward in trying to get a hold of a young girl.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he is not skeevy.
Yeah, he is like empirically not incorrect in this. Like, he is going to effort to make this seem not gross, which kind of like throws a weird spotlight on other relations that this character has through the rest of the book.
Yeah.
Which
It's like
me
he
feel
knows
weird.
it's gross in some parts.
Yeah.
He very clearly knows it's gross.
He knows meeting up with a 15-year-old girl is going to mean that people think he is a fucking creep. So he makes it really specific that this is a very specific job. It has nothing to do with sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, good on Uncle Enzo. Like, a good job articulating that, Geoff. Jesus Christ.
I didn't expect Uncle Enzo. I kind of expected he would be a figure in the background, but he actually becomes a pretty important character.
He really does, yeah.
Yeah. He gives YT his dog tags from his time in Vietnam when he was on the special forces, which he had to volunteer for because his dad was the most powerful mafioso in New York. So he didn't want to get a rear echelon make work job. He wanted to be in the shit.
Just to piss his dad off.
Yes.
Just to piss his dad off, yep. And he says, if you ever get in a spot, show him these dog tags and it'll get you out of trouble.
Don't worry about that. That definitely won't come back later.
Yeah. And one thing I like is it does actually show her like naivety is that she's like, oh yeah, I have a magic get out of jail free card now.
Right.
Yeah. And it does not, shockingly, get her out of jail.
No, not literally, because she is thrown into jail at some point. She call Hero to get her out of jail.
Notably,
and I think that was before Uncle Enzo.
It was, but one of my favorite bits of this book is that jails are now private enterprises.
Of course.
Yeah.
As they are in the year of our Lord 2024.
Yep.
And there are different levels of them, from the Clink to, I don't remember
the Slammer, was it? I don't know. One of them was like, she definitely wanted to go to one of these other jails.
She swipes her credit card to officially bribe the cops to go to the nice jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then ends up in the Clink, which is the back of a convenience store owned by an Armenian dude.
Yeah. It's good stuff. That's the part of the stuff in the book that I enjoyed.
Yeah. I really think this book comprises of about 5 or maybe 6 different things. One, and my favorite part, is the background world building, like NCAP nonsense, private prisons, burb claves, stuff like
really
that.
Good.
Yeah.
What are they called? Minivans? They had a word for that too.
Bimbo
boxes.
Bimbo boxes. Yeah. And CB ends up in a...
CB? You just said CB.
Jesus Christ. Apologies, Kristen. Not that she'll listen to this. She has much better things to do with her time, I'm sure.
It's funny, though. I'll probably not be able to unsee it now either.
Yeah, like this time, reading through this book, I could not think of CB.
I would like to point out, just for anyone who does not already listen to our podcast, no
CB
one
is much older than
nor
15.
is gross.
Yes.
Yeah, and she is a fully adult person on the show.
CB is a
Correct.
perfect example of how YT could have been handled.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, there was one dude who was kind of gross adjacent in the show, but he was a Nazi that we did bad stuff to. So.
It was pretty great. He ended up in a
spoilers.
great spot.
No, I feel comfortable. If you're just starting to listen to the show, you'll have forgotten that by episode 165 or whatever it is.
Yeah, almost certainly. Shit, I have no idea what I was talking about.
The point is, I don't remember what you were talking about either.
The background world building and YT.
Oh, yeah. Shit. Oh, yeah. So she gets stuck in a private prison, which sucks. Hero breaks her out. They get in, like, the important part of this is that they get into a minor conflict with a bunch of Central Asian or Tajikistan,
which are presented
Kazakhstani
pretty
guys.
racistly.
Yeah, it's not great. They end up fleeing to a Mr. Lee's Hong Kong. And then the best, most developed characters in the book emerge. And that is Good Doggy.
The rat things.
The rat things, which is a cybernetically modified dog, which is also a security system. And
Some type of nuclear reactor in its belly.
Yes.
Yeah, radiothermal generator.
Yeah, some sort of radioisotope powered dog that lives in a paradise of fetching frisbees and defending its home turf from the enemies. And it is honestly the best character in the book with the most complete arc. And I literally start to tear up just about every time it comes on the page. And I don't say that braggingly or anything. It's just a, like, fuck, dude.
I was actually going to say that. I actually teared up a little bit when she tells the story of she's talking
Fido?
to the person who has the franchise that develops these cyber
Mr.
dogs.
Yeah.
Mr. Ng. And she's thinking of this dog that she and her boyfriend rescued when they were younger. Age, don't think about it too much.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
And just for a second, it cuts to robot number B782, who thinks
in
of himself
Phoenix, Arizona.
He thinks of himself as a pit bull terrier named Fido.
Yeah.
And remembers, he hears some barking and hears that the nice girl is in trouble, but then the barking lets him know that she's safe and he goes back to sleep.
Yeah. I seriously become choked up in the B-72 portions of this book.
Well, he does something pretty cool at the end of it.
Yes, he does.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, how does YT get involved with the Snowcrash? Like with what Hero's involved with? It's a little hand wavy. I felt like.
No, the Mafia is trying to get their hands on the physical form of Snowcrash.
Yes.
Which to make explicit, because I don't think we ever actually said, David's DA5 ID's computer crashing wasn't just his computer crashing. He saw a bitmap of what looked like snow, of white noise, that because he's a hacker and has studied binary, has the deep structures in his brain to get infected by informationally.
I definitely forgot to make that part explicit. Yeah. Jesus
and
Christ.
Hackers who have been so infected mimetically by this virus by the informational virus start expressing physical viruses in their blood, which is then repackaged with a little bit of cocaine and crystal meth as Snowcrash, the physical drug, and distributed, as it turns out, by L. Bob Reif.
Yes.
Who is trying to reprogram everyone in the world's brain to the pre-Babel Sumerian language.
Glossolalia,
which is if you've ever heard someone speaking in tongues, that's what it supposedly sounds like. Which will let him program their brains to perform whatever chores or tasks he chooses.
Yes, and L. Bob Reif is the owner of Reverend Wayne. What the fuck is
Reverend Wayne's Pearly Gates?
Yeah,
Yes,
Pearly Gates,
Reverend Wayne's Pearly Gates, which is the biggest Pentecostal church in the world, with tens of millions of members. Things become
And they're
big.
all distribution front for the physical Snowcrash drug.
Yes.
and then YT is tasked by the mafia with recovering some so they can reverse engineer it, ostensibly maybe sell it themselves or, figure out what's going on.
It's unclear what the mafia is actually interested in doing. That's where the thing that I mentioned earlier, where Hero calls YT out about they would be organized crime if there were still laws thing comes in. It is unclear as to whether the mafia is
What their intentions are.
Yeah, just organized crime, or if they are trying to be arguably good citizens, which...
Oh, no. So later on, it's unclear at this point in the book, early in the book.
Yeah.
But towards the end, Mr. Lee of Mr. Lee's Greater Hong Kong franchise, and Uncle Enzo and Mr. Ng sit down with Hero, and they make it clear they do not want the entire world to become zombies ruled by L. Bob Reif. Which, arguably, you don't have to be specific, particularly noble not to want to have happen.
Yeah. Bad for business.
It's really this book could be a whole fucking podcast on its own beyond 2 or 3 episodes. But the concept of organized crime as we understand it in the 2020s emerges out of what were effectively the immigrant societies of the late 1800s, early 1900s, importing the local ruling customs of their fatherlands, I guess, where there's both a certain level of exploitation, as there is in any level of government, as you might recall. Taxation is theft. Don't worry about it.
So is private property.
Yes, exactly. There's a certain amount of exploitation, but you get something for that. Security, and understanding of how the world works and how society should be driven. And the mafia in this book is a really good representation of why that kind of works and makes sense outside of governmental or extra local forces.
Yeah, I don't think it's it's no accident.
Yeah,
I don't Stevenson didn't choose the mafia as the franchise to carry that narrative by accident. It's because of the Sicilian antecedents of self-government formed as an organization of people working together.
It's a local form of control.
They'll still kill a motherfucker for wronging them, though.
Yeah. If you screw up, they're going to slit your throat.
But on the other hand, there are very clear rules on what screwing up is.
Yeah, like delivering a pizza. In more than 30 minutes.
Yeah, if you deliver a pizza in 30 minutes and 30 seconds, you're fucked.
In big trouble.
Go to hell.
So we need to push this into the Raft, which we haven't even fucking brought up yet.
Okay, so the Raft is the USS Enterprise, which, if you're not familiar, is a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. Don't worry about it.
Bob Reif purchases it as his own private yacht.
Outbidding both Admiral Bob's sea defense systems and whatever the Army version is.
Yeah, General Jim or whatever.
Yeah, General Jim. Because the U.S. government has fragmented into God knows how many sections.
It's very funny.
Yeah, it really is.
And probably prescient.
Yeah.
But then he starts sailing it around and picking up all these refugee.
He does the old
ships.
Pacific Gyre.
Sure.
Just a nice 5-year-ish round trip of the Pacific, going clockwise.
And another thing that is one of the things that I kind of hate and is galling about this book, but the Pacific Gyre is also like right now exists as the Pacific Garbage Gyre.
Yeah.
Like that is where the sea embedded microplastics and literal refuse, that is what happens with it, is it circulates around the Pacific. And
100%.
Neil Stephenson is describing that process that is garbage as operating on human beings. Like,
yes.
Yeah, I don't like the way he talks about refugees.
No.
At a certain point, we're gonna have to read pattern recognition, or not pattern recognition. What's the first novel in Gibson's most recent trilogy? Trilogy.
I don't know.
Shit.
I'm dumb.
They named the series that we watched on Amazon after it.
The Peripheral. Yeah.
Which, in the first section of the book, involves the Pacific Garbage Patch.
Oh.
We're going to have to cover that eventually.
He doesn't compare it to a patch of people, though, right?
No, he does not. Although there are people who live there. They're interesting.
Well, so these people
are not garbage. Let's just lay that out there right now.
Yeah. No matter how life circumstances have forced them into bad positions.
Yeah.
But L. Bob Reif is collecting them, and it's unclear why for most of the book. It's just this thing.
Yeah. As it turns out, he can. He is collecting them because they are pre-inoculated with the Snowcrash mimetic infection.
Yes.
And stalking around on the raft are wireheads where he has figured out a way to have individual like broadcast cells receive radio transmissions directly to the vocal centers of their mind and propagate these commands for the people on the raft to carry out.
Yeah, it takes close to 75%. I think it was like 72% of the way through the book before any actual cybernetics come into it.
Other than,
it's
the dogs.
Oh, yeah, other than the dogs, but they sort of don't count. I don't know.
Yeah.
Human modification doesn't show up until about 72%, unless you consider Mr. Ng, who is a rigger.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Mr. Ng, the owner of the security device franchise that makes the cyber dogs,
yes,
has a motorized wheelchair, which is
an armored off-road van, and the very coolest thing ever.
Mr. Ng is pretty damn cool. Once again, unfortunate accent choice by the narrator of the Audible book. But besides that, he was cool.
I'm honestly very curious about that. On the other hand, I dread it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's accurate, but it doesn't. It never sounds good, even if it's accurate.
Yeah,
as an accent. But yeah, he's very much disabled, and he's very much made up for it with technology. And he makes it clear to everyone he talks to that we're better because we're like this.
We're cooler. Like, people act like we're cripples, but look, I can travel 65 miles an hour over fucking rubble. Yeah. Can you?
When YT is talking about her dog, and she was like, one day he wasn't there anymore, and he might have gotten kidnapped and turned into one of your rat things, Mr. Ng says, for his sake, I hope so.
Yeah, he's happy now.
Yeah.
And it turns out that is in fact the case, and it is B7 or B872.
Yep.
And when they are not tasked with an immediate security concern, the cyber dogs spend their days dreaming of an endless lawn with frisbees sailing through the air at perfect jaw height and trees that grow porterhouse steaks.
Yeah.
What a life.
Pretty great.
It is honestly Like, it is my favorite part of the book and my least favorite part of the
Yeah.
book. Like,
Sad.
it is heartbreaking, but also chef's kiss, if that makes sense.
That's doggy Valhalla right there. Like,
yeah.
what more could you want?
At any
so
rate,
he-
at some point, you can go ahead, Jeff. You seem to have
Oh,
an
sorry,
idea
no.
what to say. 'Cause
Well, I was going to say, so inevitably what collides is that YT is captured
yeah.
and taken captured in Fedland, where her mom works, the last
Yes.
remaining outpost of the U.S. government, who it turns
Yeah.
out her mom has been one of the programmers helping to develop the Snowcrash for El Bob Rife.
Also, we haven't even got into what it's like working for the feds. It seems pretty bad, but it's pretty standard dystopia stuff. Too. We
I
probably
wrote
don't need
it
to get
down.
into it.
I wrote it down in my notes as like working in an Amazon warehouse, but at a desk job.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, where they time your bathroom breaks.
The casualness with which she spoke of her regular
Blood
body
collector
cavity
tests.
searches,
Yeah.
blood collection,
Yeah.
sounds nightmarish. But it's a job.
Yeah, it's,
It
some
pays
George
money
Saunders
and
level.
it pays money and has health benefits. So what are you going to do?
It's some George Saunders level like future clerical dystopia. It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah.
well. It's pretty great, actually.
Pretty great. Can't wait.
So the federal government is collaborating with El Bob Rife to zombify at least America, if not the world.
Yeah.
El Bob Rife, in an exposition, espouses that he plans to be Ozymandias, King of Kings, and rule over everyone. All.
But,
Hero, trying to find some background on Raven, travels up to Alaska to the former independent Republic of Kamchatka.
Yes. Trock, I think it is.
Trock, that's right.
Yes.
The Republic of Kamchatka and another island I can't remember.
Yeah.
Kodiak.
Yeah.
And that's where
Interviews
it
the
turns
president, former president, whatever.
Yeah.
That's right. And along the way, gets cornered in a dive bar by a bunch of Confederate New South Africans who announce their intention to beat the shit out of him. So he says, well, thank you for giving me the moral justification for this, and lops the dude's head off.
That's one of those.
Decapitates a person in real life, which
That's one of those scenes that I wanted to.
At.
I wanted to cheer a little bit because that was
it was
good.
So great.
Yeah.
And both Hero and all the other guys that are there are just basically standing there as the gouts of blood are anime style, like dripping down from the ceiling fan.
Yeah,
it was very anime.
The pink mist left over. Yeah.
And Hero is like, holy shit.
It's different to cut someone's head off IRL than it is in the metaverse.
I guess I did that. Huh.
So he flees and heads back down, and Hook teams up with the Mafia again to get onto the raft.
Where, at this point, YT has already been taken by her now boyfriend, Raven, which is not problematic at all.
She meets him on the raft. She was taken to the raft by the El Bob Rife Presbyterian, now Sumerian quasi-zombies.
Because at the beginning, when she wakes up, she's kind of digging the life of the brainwashed things. And
it's starting to seep in, even though she's not a hacker. It's starting to seep in at the edges. She realizes later when she's cleaning fish guts out of a trough on the raft.
Yeah.
She gets pissed about being partially brainwashed for a while.
And that's where she meets Raven serving food.
And he literally and figuratively plucks her out of physical toil, and takes her to a strip bar / restaurant in a cargo container on the ship. And there he goes out to try and do battle with the Mafia and Hero, who are on a fishing trawler with a nuclear powered Gatling gun, which is pretty badass.
A Zodiac. Yeah.
On a Zodiac. Every time they fire it, it blasts them backwards a couple 100 meters.
I know it's supposed to be, but that was probably my favorite part of the book is the whole Lost at Sea portion.
Yeah. And it's really fun that one of the things Neil Stephenson is writing effectively techno thrillers in the tradition of Michael Crichton, Alex Haley, Tom Clancy. the fact that he is concerned with heat dispersion from this fucking Gatling gun. And like, okay, well, what do we do with this? Well, we find the biggest heat soak that we can, the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
So let's just tow it behind a raft. Great. Good idea. Great. Yeah.
Also very accurately portrayed. It's a prototype with beta software, and it crashes in the middle of a firefight.
Yeah. Exactly.
Also, I really enjoyed the wordplay of how it was introduced. Let's say these pirates will listen to reason, and it turns out what is reason? That's the name of my Gatling gun.
Yes, that is the depleted uranium Gatling gun. Yes.
So named after the inscription on all of Louis XIV's cannons, the
Correct.
last argument of kings.
Yes.
Ultima Regio Regum, I think was the...
Yes.
I really did enjoy the wild collection of characters on the life raft. Between Hero and Fisheye
and
the sniper dude,
Vic the sniper,
and
Elliot the tour guide / dude with a gun for shooting halibut that he
for the halibut. That's another fucking pun he slipped in there. Yeah. I carried the gun for the halibut. You know, the giant halibut that were too big to.
Yes. Jesus Christ.
I appreciate a pun. I know it's the lowest form of comedy, and I don't care.
No, I love it.
Yeah, it's good shit.
Anytime you can fish one of those puns out of the narrative, I'm for it. They really hook me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to make those. They just worm their way into my brain, and then I can't stop.
That's a good bit of goddamn business. Go listen to Astronomica, everybody.
Yeah, there's more where that came from.
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully that'll reel you in. All right. Sorry.
Jesus Christ.
Never apologize.
So we end up in a Gatling gun duel between
a whole bunch of pirates.
Between the aircraft carrier Enterprise and a Zodiac raft zipping around lashed together refugee oil tankers and tow boats and
it's
sorts
some
of
pretty
things.
Cool Shadowrun shit.
Sampans?
Let's be real.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Unfortunately, everybody on the raft meets their end except for Hero and the young cabin boy who's just a little survivor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They took over they're not on a Zodiac anymore. They're on a pirate boat, which used to be a fishing trawler. That
was
they
weird.
took over from Bruce Lee,
that was
the
homophobic.
sea pirate.
Yes.
That was
pretty painfully homophobic.
They lured the pirates in by making
I'm not
Hero
comfortable with that. Yeah.
and Elliot, the only two non-white guys on the boat, turn around and show how tight their asses are.
Their butts are? Yeah.
A lot of weird gay stuff.
It's
not in a fun way. We love gay stuff in a fun way.
Yeah.
The mob boss is alarmed that they're gay and then assured that it's okay. They're not really gay. They just are out at sea a lot.
They're just sailors. Yeah.
They're just They're just seamen.
Hilarious joke that's never been made before.
Yeah. And while this is going on, the most awful part of the book is happening, which is Raven and YT's romantic interlude.
Burgeoning romance?
The worst part about their sex scene is that it's presented as fine.
Yeah.
She's into it.
She's into it, which, I mean, fine. A 15-year-old can be into sex with an older man. That doesn't make it right. But Raven's, I mean, he's the bad guy, but he's also been a sympathetic bad guy in a lot of parts of the book. And it's not presented as a creepy thing. I mean,
it's presented as just normal and fine.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another part which I've seen people defend that no, Stevenson is depicting the logical consequences of this kind of ANCAP future.
Yes,
which is a negative in my mind.
Definitely. And also is fruitful grounds for a thoughtful or, well realized examination.
But fuck, it is uncomfortable to read, just as some of those scenes in Birth City were uncomfortable to goddamn watch.
Yeah. Once again, it's this is a at least partially absurdist
fun
work
romp.
with an overall comic tone and adventuresome, vibe. And so this embedded in that
Stands
kind
out.
of work is gross.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, and if she'd just been made to be in her 20s,
Would have been cool.
It would be fine.
Cooler,
Be super hot.
at least. Yeah. I mean, she has been brainwashed at that point, but
Well, she snapped out of it.
True. She was pretty much of her own.
yeah.
But no matter how spunky and clever the 15-year-old is, she's still a 15.
Still a 15.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With a Dentata poison dart.
Yeah, fun. We should have mentioned that right at the beginning. YT has a vagina dentata.
Yes, which is a device that is worn as a last line of defense against sexual assault that injects a powerful cocktail of narcoleptics. Or not, of narcotics.
Narcotics.
Like 5 narcoleptics.
It's like 5 dudes who just fall asleep at with no warning.
Which in and of itself, so she wears this all the time in her daily life, and was procured for her by her mom, who doesn't even know half the dangerous shit she does.
By implication, this is necessary for a 15-year-old girl.
Well, she mentions it like when she's in jail because one of the jailers is leering at her, and she knows she has that line of defense.
Yep.
And so that in and of itself, like that's a
good note on society.
Good, world building of what a horror society this is.
That's just why it's so weird. The sex scene is so weird and out of place because, like, if Raven was straight up evil, then this act might make more sense. But he's not. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's casually murdered in a baker's dozen
easily
at this point.
Yes,
yeah,
and he carries around a nuke,
and has been delivering briefcases full of zombification drugs. I mean, he has his own justifications.
He's a bad guy. Don't get me wrong, but he's
what good villain doesn't.
He's not present. Yeah, he's a bad dude.
He's given a sympathetic undertone.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's what. And in fact, is described as the ultimate badass in one passage.
Yes.
Multiple times. Right.
Yes. If there is any character in this book that is badder ass than Hero, it's Raven.
It's Raven. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I like that little passage because it is a good. Again, it's the frustrating ambivalence of Stevenson. Like, hang on a second, I can pull it up real quick. Until a man is 25, he still thinks every so often that under the right circumstances, he could be the baddest motherfucker in the world.
Yes,
if I moved to a martial arts monastery
well.
in China and studied real hard for 10 years, if my family was wiped out by Colombian drug dealers and I swore myself to revenge,
or if I was given a year to live, I could wipe out street crime.
Hero used to feel that way too, but then he ran into Raven. In a way, this is liberating. He no longer has to worry about trying to be the baddest motherfucker in the world. The position is taken.
Yeah, that's a good line.
And I guess that also helps place Hero. He's around 25.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
But that's a great recognition and lampooning of that like ultra dude macho attitude.
It really is.
Like that has some interest, like. Again, that's why it's so frustrating. The deficiencies are so frustrating, given all the great parts.
Have you read Geoff Stevenson's most recent book, Terminal Shock or Termination Shock? Okay. What did you think of it?
Again, kind of uneven. There were some parts that I really loved. Some characters that I really loved. I loved Red.
Really well drawn. Yeah.
Yeah. In this book, it is after runaway climate change has started having huge impacts on society and the world. And one of the main characters is a guy who has sworn
vengeance against feral hogs.
Feral hogs.
20 to 30 feral hogs.
Yeah, because his kid was playing outside in the scrublands and got killed by hogs.
Yeah.
And it's like, and the resolution of that is wrenching, emotionally wrenching.
It really is. Okay, so my probably 6 or 9 months ago, within the past calendar year, I saw online somebody talking about how, the new Neil Stephenson book talks basically is praising the idea of billionaires doing geoengineering on their own terms, which when I read that book, 100% did not, like, I didn't take that interpretation from it, like, praisingly. He, which I think is his problem, he does a lot of presenting opposing viewpoints as reasonable. I don't
gotten a lot of people in trouble.
Yeah.
The plucky, independent-minded billionaire who is doing geoengineering on his own to save the Earth is presented very sympathetically, and you could very credibly draw that.
I can see how people can read that, but not the whole. I can see how people can read that in, but not the whole book, I guess. Like, I don't know. And that's, I think, one of Stevenson's problems, which has carried through from 1992 to 2023.
Yeah.
I mean,
seems pretty clear in this one.
Fuck, I forgot how I got to that point in relation to Snowcrash.
Doesn't matter.
I apologize.
The important thing is we've gotten past the uncomfortable scene that none of us wanted to talk about, and it's interwoven now. And we can work our way towards the end, which we are pretty close to.
Yeah. So Hero gets on the boat. He carves a hole in the hull of the ship with his nuclear Gatling gun.
Yeah,
correct.
After he spends some nice time with the Filipino family.
Yeah.
Filipinos, and then Malaysians, and then I think Chinese. Yeah.
The confusing part of this is Hero is frequently jumping back and forth between the metaverse and reality, which is cool. He's become a gargoyle at this point where he can they don't call it jack in, they call it goggle in, basically anywhere.
Yes,
he's not 24/7. He has body mounted, not implanted, but body mounted tech that keeps him in the the ability to keep the metaverse going 24/7. And what I like about that note is everyone who does that becomes even nerdier and more unbearable.
YT makes fun of him.
What are you, a fucking gargoyle now, dork?
What I thought is cool about this is this was 1992, and I know in my brain when Shadowrun picked up the fact that we were going wireless and had to basically rewrite their lore.
Circa 1999?
It was like 98 or 9 or something like that, in I think 4th edition. And I just, how far ahead Neil Stephenson was, because I know, and throughout the 90s, I wasn't thinking about wireless technology in any way. And
I mean, we didn't even have Ethernet speeds. We had fucking 56K. For God's sake.
It feels more up to date than like a lot of places where you would have to, a lot of stories where you'd have to physically jack into a terminal. The fact that you can goggle in anywhere is very realistic.
Yeah.
And in fact, he even he mentions it works mostly the same way as his cell phone.
Yeah, he mentions cell phones and stuff.
Like it depends on coverage and stuff like that, and satellite uplinks. Like you're right. It doesn't feel dated at all in 2023.
It's surprising to know you're reading something probably written in 1990 or 91. Dude knows his shit.
And it's amazingly so.
But Hero gets onto the Enterprise. It turns out he's looking for, I could never figure out where the tablet came up, but he's trying to find a tablet which has,
that comes up actually very early in the book. Maybe in the first scene with Juanita.
It's basically got a phrase that undoes the virus.
It has the Namshub of Enki.
Right.
Which was the triggering event or counter programming that caused Babel, that caused human language to fragment.
Yes. Because again, Neil Stephenson, at least in this book, has some very interesting ideas on the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis.
Yeah.
Interesting is subjective.
I don't know. I think they're interesting.
It ties in the fall of Eden, the fall from paradise, and the ancient gods, including Yahweh and Enki and all the Sumerian, all the Fertile Crescent major religions are sort of unified into this one thing where a metavirus hit humanity and made us susceptible to further viruses. That was the origin of language and consciousness, but not in a way that, but as sort of robots. And Enki was the first human to wake up and then counter-programmed people so that they couldn't understand each other, so that the memes couldn't propagate.
Yes, I used.
That's also where herpes came from.
Yes,
Yeah, that's true.
I used memes a bunch in my notes, and I don't know if it's come up in this episode.
No, but that's true. That's a
my
good way.
talk. Yeah. Well,
and he wrote this book before meme was a word in the common popular vernacular, although Dawkins had already coined it.
Yeah, but it was already Dawkins, but
it's interesting though, because he does not make it, like, I don't think he had ever read Dawkins when he wrote this book. There's no reference to it, and it's not in the bibliography.
Huh, it's interesting.
Getting back to the story, it's important to note at this point that Hero had also in the metaverse met up with Uncle Enzo and
Mr. Lee,
who are
and
Eng, who are powerful dudes in their own right. They're not.
None of these guys are fans of the idea of the entire world being full of people who are speaking in tongues and zombies.
Right. And they've kind of...
And specifically under the control of Elbob Rife.
Yes.
They kind of set a trap for Elbob Rife when he gets back to the mainland. Yeah. And it's also been made clear that Uncle Enzo does want to rescue YT because for whatever reason, he likes her. Yeah.
Well, there's a
tried to ride a skateboard.
Hero is talking to on the fishing trawler. Hero is talking to Fisheye and Vic, the mafia sniper, and they just come right out and they say, like, "Well, we like to use personal relationships to make concrete, larger, more abstract goals. So we're saving YT, but we're also stopping Elbob Rife." Yeah, I like that.
There is a point to this, and the point is the personal relationship as opposed to the broader concept.
Yeah. Poor Fisheye. He didn't deserve that harpoon in the chest.
Nope. So
even if he made Hero dance naked for Bruce,
that was just sexy.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't fault him for that. Yeah.
I love how badass Hero's presented, but still, when you're on a raft with a mafia guy, you do what the fucking mafia guy tells you.
You're
even if it's shaking your butt.
You're spreading your butt for Asian pirates, I guess.
Yep. These butts so fresh, they still got cherries up there.
Yeah.
that was said. Nevertheless, Hero finds YT just as she's being whisked away in a helicopter by Elbob Rife. But before he can't rescue her, but she manages to kick the tablet out of the helicopter.
Yes.
Where it lands on the deck. And at this point, out of nowhere, Juanita appears.
Yes. Juanita has been absent for approximately a third to half of the book.
Since his first meeting with her in the...
Yeah, pretty much.
She's got an antenna in her head.
Yeah, she's a wirehead now.
But because of her Jesuitical training...
Yes.
She has been able to wrestle with the Ashira virus and has become self-possessed and self-conscious again.
Yes.
That really into the world that's opened up to her because of her wireheadedness. I don't know.
Yes, and also
I didn't really follow this part.
And also the Jesuit thing, which as I recall, both Geoff and I are familiar with the concepts of Catholic school. And give us a boy, we'll make you a man.
Pretty much the main thing Jesuitical school, Saint Ignatius of Loyola imparted to me was the ability to resist the siren call of the Catholic Church in adulthood. Yeah. So I guess thanks.
Sharply. Yes. I feel like Saint Ignatius has done a better job at that than virtually anything else, but yeah.
So there's I don't know, is anything that they talk about at this point important?
Basically, she figured out how to counter-program everyone, and that if they can broadcast it right now while they're all still on the raft, they can re-Babylise all of the people who have been infected with Snowcrash, and free them. They can wake up.
And also, I believe at this point, Hero says, "If we get through this, will you be my girl?"
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And
Will you
again,
be my girl? It's like Grease, basically.
the absolute clunkiest ham-handedness dialogue in the whole book is between Hero and Juanita at every turn.
Stevenson is really not good at romance. I mean, like, if I think of the, like I said, the Baroque Cycle is one of my absolute favorite works of the past 20, 30 fucking years. There is virtually no romance between protagonist characters in that.
Mm-hmm.
He really does not do romance very well.
No.
Well, evidenced in this early work of his, for sure. So
one of the things that's great is he is very good at writing female characters as
he
really
is.
people.
I mean, Eliza in the Baroque Cycle is just as, if not more, narratively important and capable of executing her will as any of the male characters.
Yeah, agreed. And Amy Shafto in Cryptonomicon.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so at this point, I don't know how he figures out, but Hero knows he's got to catch Raven, because Raven's got both a metaverse nuke, and I think technically he still has the real world nuke. I'm not sure.
Yes.
So he
can't kill him in the real world, but he can kill him in the metaverse.
Yes.
Right. And so
Hero hacked into L. Bob Reif's intranet, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he figured out the U.S. government was in on it.
So Hero technically never leaves the boat. He's still on the boat till the end of the book.
Is that right? It's entirely possible.
So. The rest of his story takes place in the metaverse.
Yeah. YT ends up on the mainland.
Yeah, YT definitely does.
Yeah. At the airport.
Hero knows he's got Uncle Enzo waiting for Elbob on the mainland.
Yes.
Anyway, he takes off on a motorcycle to chase Raven through the metaverse. My biggest problem with the metaverse, and the thing that doesn't compute with modern internet, is this concept of space.
Metaphorizing distance.
Yeah. The fact that you have to travel and it takes time, like, that seems so clunky and annoying.
Well,
but it also, I mean, it's laid out in the book as a deliberate choice on the part of the programmers.
Yeah.
So,
to help with immersion, I guess.
To help with immersion and computing power that's available. Yeah.
And again, this is prior to the World Wide Web existing.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Yeah, I get it. And it also narratively, it would be, it would take away a lot of important stuff to not have it. But anyway, we have a motorcycle chase, a motorcycle and sword fight.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's
honestly, anime. Turn off the critical part of your brain and just enjoy it.
It's very cool. Yeah.
Just enjoy it. Yeah.
The same as the Gatling gun duel from earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Like the phalanx guns on the Enterprise versus the nuclear powered Gatling gun that Hero's dragging around on a Zodiac.
I'm not complaining.
Ignore the refugees that got fucking vaporized by depleted uranium slugs.
No, we're not thinking about that. We're thinking about how cool the explosions were.
Yeah.
And we do get a little history dump, too, we find out that Heroes and Raven's fathers knew each other in a POW camp.
Yes.
And helped each other escape.
Raven's dad was blinded by the flash that because they were tied together back to back, Hero's dad was facing the other way and was not blinded.
Right, by the flash of Nagasaki bomb going off.
And the light
that's when,
wrapped up like a douche. Another rumor in the night.
Yes.
And that's how Hero's dad won his swords. He fought the Japanese military officer who was about to behead the both of them.
Yes.
And so acquired them honorably in battle.
Hero's dad seems pretty cool.
Yeah. Hero's mom, a complete afterthought and
never
given
hardly exists.
Well, they did. I actually liked how he described, like, how when he invented the metaverse, he could have made a bunch of money, but he neglected to do that. Instead, set his mom up with, like, basically where she's just taken care of for the rest of her life and never has to worry about money.
Yeah, she lives in a nice retirement community in Korea.
Not important to the plot, but letting us know that she's fine.
Yeah, that's true. It does feel like an afterthought.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, he basically gives Raven the chance to, we don't have to fight. We can just chill. And Raven says no.
Oh, and this is where he explicitly lays out his motivations. Mm-hmm. He wants to deliver the Snowcrash mega info bomb to all of the world's elite programmers who are gathered at a memorial concert for DA5ID.
Yes.
Because he wants to nuke America. And so he's going to do it metaphorically rather than physically. But, it follows. It tracks, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know where the nuke in the room, the actual nuke that he's been carrying around, what happened to it? Does he still have it?
I think it's on the sub.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's still got it. He could always come back and do that later, too.
Yeah, we've totally glossed over the entire existence of the Russian Orthodox.
Yeah, we have.
Church in this. Don't worry about it.
They're allied with El Babrife because they got drawn in by the religious orthodoxy angle, and now they're partly wire-headed and partly just exercising power.
Yeah. Anyway, motorcycle chase, limbs are lost, crashes happen, but eventually they find themselves at the amphitheater, and Raven manages to activate the bomb, whatever it is, the info bomb.
He set us up the bomb.
He set us up the bomb, yes. And Hero defeats him in singular combat in front of all these hackers who think it's part of the show.
Yeah, because he is, of course, the greatest sword fighter in the world.
Two of the greatest swordsmen in the world doing battle in front of the coolest light show they've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then dives in to hack his own brain. Sorry.
Hack his own brain.
No, I have to reference Johnny Mnemonic as much as possible, even if it doesn't apply.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. As one should.
But he's just going to hack this thing closed, I guess. I don't know. Halfway through the book, I think, he captured the scroll that infected David.
Yes.
DA5ID.
Yeah.
And wrote a program that would look for the signature of Snowcrash and then mask it. So.
Yeah, I forgot about that. And it
so
worked.
he had embedded it in the entire metaverse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when the thing goes off, it just unleashes a message that basically says, if this was a virus, you'd be dead now.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's so, as it turns out, that whole thing was redundant. Like, he could have just chilled and let his embedded program take care of it.
Yep, pretty much.
Wow. I did not put that together, but.
And then
he had to do the sword fight.
In the real world, El Babrife has departed the carrier, or the Enterprise.
With YT and the President of the United States of America.
Yes, with YT and the President. They have
very minor character that nobody cares about.
I love that. No, nobody on the helicopter recognized him.
Yeah,
it's pretty great.
Nobody has any idea or cares. They decamped to an airport on the mainland. They're about to escape, and the true hero of the book arrives because YT is in danger. That's right, B872.
Who, by the way, breaks his programming because he is Fido, the dog that she rescued, and he knows that he can't jump the fence, but he does it anyway because
or he realizes he can't do it
because dogs aren't big on introspection.
Yeah.
And then goes terrassing at like Mach 2 down the interstate.
Literally, not metaphorically.
Yeah,
he breaks the sound
twice
barrier.
the speed of sound.
With a shockwave of blown out windshields, like in a cone behind him. It's pretty awesome.
It is some of the most beautiful stuff I have ever read. Honestly.
Yeah. It's nice.
So he's running from Phoenix towards LAX.
Very fast dog.
Yeah.
He is a very good doggy.
And just basically hits the jet like a missile, right? Right in the back of it.
Yeah, at the very end, El Bob Rife is trying to get on the jet. El Bob Rife sees the dog coming towards him, and it's only because it's coming straight at him that he can even discern it.
Even conceive that something is moving that fast.
It runs through the fuel tanks of LAX, trailing a blaze of fire and gasoline in a vortex behind it. Elbob Rife figures out it's aiming for him because it keeps adjusting its course to point at him as he climbs down the jet ladder.
Yeah.
So he runs up the jet ladder. The jet tries to take off, and Fido launches himself through the jet turbine. It's the goodest good boy.
Yeah.
That's glossing over the fact that Uncle Enzo showed up to save YT.
Yes.
On a skateboard that he's
Uncle
been
Enzo
learning
is
to
my
ride.
Fido.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also love Uncle Enzo, but man, Fido.
Uncle Enzo also has a moment with his lieutenant where he teaches him how to be a better mafia guy.
Yeah.
Which is at the very end of the book. It was just a little weird character building thing, informing him that he has to be better at doing two things at once because his hired muscle just aren't getting the job done for him very well.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then eventually, when he realizes that Raven's coming, he basically strips down, slices his pants into shorts because the sound of his hair on the inside of his pants might give him away. Takes his straight razor for shaving and then just does some Rambo shit and fights Raven in real life because he was killed in the metaverse, but he's okay in real life.
Yeah.
It's pretty badass that Uncle Enzo, 70-year-old man, is the one guy to go toe-to-toe with Raven and get in a hit on him and potentially survive.
Yeah,
he
and
gets,
limp
Achilles.
away. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he uses from the skateboard he bought YT. He's got some type of sonic thing that shatters all the glass.
Shockwave generator. Yeah.
I love the description
escaping from Fedland.
Right. I love the description of Raven, all the glass knives on his person just shattering and falling out of his coat because he carries dozens of them.
Yeah. That's pretty
It was
great.
a cool scene. Yeah. I liked it.
And then so it ends up with YT's mom comes to pick her up and take her home. Mm-hmm. And in the background, you get the indication that as the medics are rushing towards Uncle Enzo, Raven has stolen a pizza delivery car and driven off.
So ostensibly, Enzo and Raven are still alive. Elbob Rife, most certainly not.
Oh, no, absolutely not. The goodest dog took care of that.
Yeah.
Yep. He is literally vaporized.
Yeah.
The ending came very abruptly for me, just YT going home. But, it's pretty appropriate. It's fine.
Well, and also I don't know how much of this book programmed me for that. I really like unexpected, well, we're done. Endings.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it by any means. I was I was surprised.
Show's over. Go home now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Stevenson basically uses that to end his novels almost always.
Yeah.
He sketches a possible future that you could anticipate and mostly resolves the central conflict, and then the book's over.
Yeah, I really thought we'd get one more hero chapter.
Yeah, arguably, the Baroque cycle is different from that, but it's only arguably different because we have the future 400 years or 300 years.
Well, and Seven Eves is different from that because...
because it decides to do that ending 2/3 of the way through the book.
Yeah. Oh, God, that's a hard... Man.
I supposedly there is a sequel on the way? Question mark?
Yeah, no spoilers, but I will say Seven Eves.
Whoa.
is also heartbreak. Neil Stevenson is capable of beautiful, emotionally affecting.
He really is.
Poetic, socially acute writing, and the fact that he deploys it so spottily. And sometimes has
cynically
just such a ham-fisted, It's that's what makes it. That's the central axis on which the ambiguity, the ambivalence pivots. It's if he were Michael Crichton, and it's here's a cool world. I'm just gonna put you in that cool world and I'm
gonna dick around with it for a minute. Yeah.
Or if you were Dan Brown and it was just completely you could just forget about it. But that's what makes it so...
but he has those fucking acute moments that are cloyingly close to beautiful art.
Or even literally sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
It's I mean, this is the only thing I've read from him, but for what you're saying, really sums up how I felt about the book. It gets so close in a lot of places, and it's really great in a lot of places, and then really misses the mark in others.
Yeah,
and is incredibly frustrating in some places. So
I'd say Cryptonomicon. I think that's my favorite of his books by far. And
I think that is a totally fucking fair and defensible position. I mean, Baroque Cycle is like literally 100% my shit. Given that I was already an obsessive about Robert Hooke beforehand. And like I'm sitting there in the early web, like approximately the time that Snowcrash came out. And I'm like, wow, let me look at pictures of buildings that Christopher Wren designed.
Yeah.
Like it could not be more my shit. But Cryptonomicon, totally defensible position.
And it is cyberpunk, so we will possibly cover it someday.
It's more cyberpunk than a lot of things. Okay. I mean, I think the essence of cyberpunk is there, if not the reality, if that makes sense.
There's definite high tech and definite low life, although it is all set in kind of mid 90s, early 2000s. There's a couple of timelines. The time of Isaac Newton, World War II, and then mid 90s present. So it deals with computers and like the origin of computers and
computing as a concept.
Yeah.
Communication.
There's no hyper advanced sci-fi.
But it's the building blocks of hyper advanced sci-fi, which we're currently living in.
Yeah.
It's well worth reading. I think it would fit with your overall.
Oh yeah, I think it would be hard to argue against it as a concept.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this.
Not next week though.
No,
that's
not
the
next
important
week.
thing.
Yeah, it's like 1,200 pages or something. So
yeah, it's a big one.
Is there any
in advance?
Is there any final thoughts on Snowcrash that we should get out there? Any important things we missed? I think we've said the majority of it. Like I enjoyed it.
I think I could go for another 5 hours on this, just prodding little bits and pieces of it. But I think the important thing is there's more satire in here than people are able to recognize. And that is very frustrating because I get sick of people not able to recognize sarcasm.
Yeah.
Yeah. My takeaway from this most recent reading is that the parts that I found egregious, some of them were actually a little more subtle and reflective, and some of them were just drier satire than I had previously recognized. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But there are definitely still some parts that are just awful.
There's some rough stuff and bumpy stretches. I can't argue with that.
Josh, do you like it more now than you did before?
I do, probably in part because I feel like over the past, 20 odd years, I've become more forgiving of human flaws. Yeah. And like, I'm more willing to accept people having different understandings of things. Uh-huh. So I don't instantly start swinging at people who have different opinions.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah. It was quote marks, good times, end quote. I feel like it's more understandable now. And I was able to get a little more into it now, if that makes sense.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And everything's different when we do it for this show because you're not reading it to enjoy it. I'm
doing it from an implicitly critical standpoint.
Yeah, it's a different way to watch the ones we've done that I have like a connection from my youth with. It's a completely different way to come at these properties.
I mean, I will say this has enhanced my this take, like having a more critical eye to parse it than just sort of like absorbing all this in the background, like actually consciously thinking about that.
Yeah.
It's caused my ambivalence to be even more pronounced.
Yeah.
The parts that the parts that I love even more, and the parts that are awful are even more awful, with the recognition that it is, if not a deliberate choice to be awful, a deliberate choice not to
be that way.
Not to ameliorate that.
Yeah. I agree.
Cynical. I think you're right, Josh. I think it's just cynical.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's again, I want another 2 hours just to like get away from the plot of the book, but just discuss the things that the book brings up. But also that would be fucking irritating for both us and the audience. So let's start.
You can record that solo. Yeah, and I'll put it on the Patreon.
Yeah, sounds good.
Because I think I've milked Snowcrash dry of my own personal.
Oh, just wait. In 5 years, we'll come back to this and do it again.
All right. I mean, I'm willing.
Yeah. Okay,
right,
so
we're gonna segue on out of here on our segues that every guest gets for being a guest on our show.
Yes, we are a truly cyberpunk show. Jeff, yours should have arrived the other day, just at exactly the same time that my Secret Santa gift arrived.
Just don't write it off the cliff.
Well, my the gift I got you was a helmet designed for riding segways.
Oh, fuck!
What an O'Henryan twist!
Oh my God, the gift of the Magi. Wait, does that go back to Sumerian mythology? Maybe.
Probably.
Yeah.
Jeff, we've plugged it at the beginning. Let's plug it again. Where do you come from on the internet?
The Astronomica podcast. Go to www.astronomicapodcast.com for all your webular needs, as Colin put it. We have links to all the shows. We're on every podcatcher service that we can find. That also has a link to our Discord, which is what we do in lieu of any other social media outlet.
Yeah, I would also like to point out that Astronomica is a great show. They also have other great shows they do via their Patreon.
Oh yes, that helpful website will redirect you to our Patreon.
Yeah, and the more Patreon subscribers they get, ostensibly, the more time they will have to dedicate to those shows. So
yes,
we're always a fan of.
Also, just in case it's scary, which I understand to a lot of people it might be. Yes, Astronomica is 150 odd episodes in to the narrative, but something like every 20 to 30 episodes, if you look at your podcatchers, there is a quote recap episode.
Yeah, you could jump in and maybe miss some of the previous context, but we do have some story so far eps.
Yes,
so you
exactly.
You
don't have to invest 140 hours to get up to the present. You can kind of jump in relatively recently, although it feels so good to have listened to all of it.
It's an easy binge. I usually binge it. I usually wait some time and binge it, and they go fast when you're listening, and then you get caught up, and then you're sad.
Yeah, they really do. They don't get into these fucking 3-hour-long fucking episodes like we do.
Well,
yeah, we keep everything to a tight 90.
They have an editor, and we don't.
Yeah.
We have a me
part of it
who puts an intro on and then throws it to the wolves.
Did you say me or May?
Exactly.
All right.
The operating system of society, if you will.
Oh, God. Oh,
yeah.
We have a Patreon too, patreon.com/hightechlowlife. We just put out an episode with Geoff where we watched Burst City, and it was a lot of fun.
It was very fun. Hey, not to get away from the plugs too much, but we need to rate this fucking thing. I only bring this up because I'm just going to lay this out right at the beginning. Prescience 10 of 10.
Oh, absolutely.
What's this called? Snow Crash. Okay.
Yes. What have you spent the past 2 weeks listening to? Snow Crash.
Let's rapid fire this. We've got Okay, story.
I'm going to give it
8 out of 10.
I'll give it a 7.
I was going to go 5 because
Yeah.
I don't. This book for me is a collection of cool moments more than it is a cool narrative.
Yeah, that's fair.
So we got 5.
Yeah.
Josh, what was yours?
I think I said 7.
And Jeff, did you say 8?
I'd say 8. If you reread it 4 times, the narrative threads tend to stick together a little better, so you get a better sense of what's going on.
I buy that. Influence, I think undeniably high.
Very high. This is
9.5.
9? Yeah, 9.
I mean, I'd go so far as to say 10. Like,
I think I'm going to say 10 too.
Yeah, if nothing else, I guess that's correct. If we want to...
A lot of it's self-fulfilling influence.
Yeah.
But
one little tidbit. Apparently, some of the motivation behind the development of cellular internet was somebody reading Snowcrash and figuring out, hey, we can piggyback this on top of SMS.
Okay, let's go 10 all the way around.
Yeah.
Was that covered in the BlackBerry movie?
Yes. Which, by the way, was really good. I remember I watched that this summer and can't remember if I mentioned it on the show.
It's in clips where they're having a conversation just like that. But
yeah,
I don't know if Snowcrash is mentioned. Prescience, you're going 10?
10. Can't go any less than 10, honestly.
10.
Style.
Exhausting.
Yeah.
Is exhausting a rating?
Yeah, I don't even know how to rate this because sometimes it's just like, does it have its style? And sometimes do we like the style? Because it definitely has it. And I don't know that I like it. So,
I hate weebs in black leather kimonos carrying fucking katanas.
14-year-old me gives it a 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10.
44-year-old
gives
me
it about a 4.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 6.
Let's cut the difference and call it a 5.5.
5.5 and 4. I think all of those are perfectly fair.
Yeah.
And then 1 to 5 scale, how much we enjoyed it. Tough call, actually.
The hardest.
I gave it a B minus, which is, I guess, about a 3. I'll probably stick with 3.
I'm going to go 4, if only because the good doggy sections hit so fucking hard. I mean, I'm literally sitting here tearing up, petting my bull terrier.
Petting your little missile dog.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeff?
So about 66% of the book I enjoyed at a 9. And the remaining third is about a -1. So I guess if you average those together, that's about a 4.5.
4.5? Yeah.
This is a 1 to 5 scale. So
yeah.
4.5. Then
for no reason.
0.45 times 5. So 2.25.
2.25. Yeah.
I think that's good. And I've got it captured in the record for all eternity.
Yeah, and remember, all viewpoints are accepted here because I'm not as much of a fucking nightmare as I used to be when I was in my 20s and teens.
Of these numbers, Josh, your ratings are highest almost across the board. So
I have softened so much.
Next week, we are going to watch the movie Her, starring Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson. And I don't know if it's cyberpunk, but
it has AI.
I'll put my phone in a frilly little dress in preparation,
or at least chatbot. Yeah.
I think it might be even more apropos to the world than it was when it came out. And
yes, based on my faint memories, I think
I've got no memories because I haven't seen it, but I'm interested, and it's going to be a little bit less dense than Snowcrash was.
Yes.
Well, I can't wait to listen to you guys. And thanks very much for having me on. I really
thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for
3
coming
episodes.
Yes. Thank you so much, Geoff. I think a guest was absolutely what we needed.
You put in 6 hours of high-tech, low-life related content in the last
week.
Yeah. So thank you so much. It's really...
Yeah. I am proud to be paying you and your compatriots a certain amount of money on Patreon every month.
Oh, sweet. Oh, yeah. There we go. That's the hidden Patreon tier for the Astronomica podcast is
We'll come on your podcast.
We'll spend up to 6 hours per week, once every 19 weeks.
Financial quarter.
Yeah.
That's a good deal.
Honestly,
start something like that.
Honestly, yeah, I feel like we got the better end of this bargain.
And I signed up for your Patreon because of the secret tier that lets you be on the show.
Yeah. If you're on our Patreon, let us know you want to be on the show.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty true. I guess that's it. This has been a long one. So
it really has. Do we have any fun quotes to end this whole saga with?
I think I burned mine last week.
No surprises is the motto of the franchise Ghetto. Its good housekeeping seal, subliminally blazoned on every sign and logo that make up the curves and grids of light that outline the basin. The people of America who live in the world's most surprising and terrible country take comfort in that motto. Follow the logic outward to where the growth is enfolded into the valleys and the canyons, and you find the land of the refugees. They have fled from the true America, the America of atomic bombs, scalpings, hip-hop, chaos theory, cement over shoes, snake handlers, spree killers, spacewalks, buffalo jumps, drive-bys, cruise missiles, Sherman's March, gridlock, motorcycle gangs, and bungee jumping. The only thing left is a culture medium for a medium culture.
Jesus Christ, that is America. That was exactly the quote that I was going to go with. I can't do it better than that.
Then all we got to do is say bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Good night, Grace.
This has been the High Tech Low Life podcast. Find us on Twitter at Johnny60seconds, email us at hightechlowlifepodcast@gmail.com, and find us on Patreon at patreon.com/hightechlowlife. Theme music by Nihilor at nihilor.com. Thank you for listening.
Keep it moving. Come on, what are you waiting on? Let's go.
They're trashing our rights, man! They're trashing the fluid data! They're trashing! Hide the planet!
Shut up and get in the car.
I'm Sushi K, and I'm here to say I like to rap in a different way. Look out, #1 in every city. Sushi K rap has almost pretty. My special talking of remarkable words is not the stereotype buck-tooth nerd. My hair is big as a galaxy, 'cause I attain greater technology. I like to rap about sweet and romance. My fond ambition is of your pants. So here is a special remarkable way of this fellow raps named Sushi K. The Nipponese talking phenomenon like samurai sword, his sharpened tongue, who raps the East Asia and the Pacific, prosperity sphere to be specific.